Welcome to the solutions for the assignments in the advanced prototyping module. So first things first, I do want to basically teach you how to get the prototype settings. You can either go in here in this area of the screen and hit prototype, or a better way to do it is just using a shortcut, so Shift E, and you can see that I'm switching from design and prototype tabs. So that's one awesome way and a quick way how to do it. Another thing that I want to kind of quickly discuss, one of the reasons, and you might have noticed this, is we're not using frames anymore for our workspace, we're using sections. That's because when it comes to prototyping, you can't actually like prototype frames inside of another frame, because the prototyping feature is always going to look for the top level like parent frame. So if we were to have your workspace in here as a frame and then have left and right frames inside of it, we would only have interactions that happen when you're inside like a particular screen or a page. So we would have like navigate to, which means that if I click something, it's gonna like scroll me down or up the page to get to that point. But we wouldn't have interactions between the two where we could actually use a smart animate features and stuff like that. So just one thing to know about that, and one of the reasons why all of these areas are now sections and not frames is because we actually need frames as their own separate entities to be able to create transitions and effects in between them. Because Figma is going to look for differences in this element and this element if they're named the same, which if you look in here, this is ellipse and this is ellipse as well. So Figma knows that this frame and this frame can have an interaction or like something happening in between them, and it's gonna animate those two elements when Figma compares what's different with the elements inside of the frame. So let's change the opacity of the ellipse on the right to 10%. Cool. I just selected it, hit 1 on my keyboard, and now it's 10%. And we need to go to the prototype tab after that, so Shift E, and we need to select the left frame and create a hotspot for that connection by clicking on the blue plus icon while the frame is selected. So you can basically do that in here, interactions. Oh, sorry, this is going to be a flow starting point. Let's call it solution solution 1, and okay, prototype tab. After that, select the left frame, create a hotspot. Frame is connected, drag it to the destination frame. So we need to click this little plus and drag it here, and we now have an interaction, and we can basically play around and see what does what. So I would keep it on click. You can also see all of the other options. I mean, we went over this in our videos in this module, so I don't want to kind of repeat myself in here. You should be aware of most of these things, but it's now time to actually do it yourself. So let's navigate to the right, and instead of instant, let's have smart animate, and maybe ease in and out at something longer so that we can actually kind of see it happen. And I'm just going to play the prototype through here. Click, and it transitions into a 10% opacity. So that's done. Okay, change the position of the ellipse on the right, but keep it contained in the right frame. Okay, so I'm changing the position here. Create a transition by following the steps for the first assignment. All of that makes sense. So in here, I'm gonna basically drag this here, make it on click, navigate, smart animate, all of the feature options that we played around with already saved and auto applied. We just need to create a new starting point in here. So it's gonna be solution 2. And if we hit play, we have solution 2 in here, and it's gonna position it there. Okay, you can always kind of test these options that we have to work by hitting the plays on all of these all of these prototypes that were pre-made for you with all of these assignments, so it's easy to understand what you need to do and how to do it. Okay, so in here, if I switch back to the design tab, I can rotate this by 45 degrees, and I think that's it, right? Change the rotation. Okay, that's the only thing that needed to happen. Shift E, create this in here. Let's call it solution 3. Let's play the solution 3, and it rotates. Everything's perfect. In here we have a resizing, so design tab, resizing to maybe something really bigger, and in here something like this. It's probably smaller, maybe even 8. Okay, and let's click here, Shift E. I now have the ability to add this little plus. In here, flow starting point, call it solution 4, and let's play the solution 4. Perfect, that's done. Okay, so let's see what we have in here. This one is going to change color, so I'm just going to have that in here. I'm also grab this hex for the shadow. Oh, it's already in here. Let's just make it bigger, and let's make it more noticeable like this. And again, let's prototype that. Cool. Interaction, solution 5. We play solution 5, and it works. Shadow is also growing. Oh, here we have to do something else, so let's see. It's time to play around with Figma's interaction settings under the prototype tab. A single option can have multiple interactions with each one triggered by one of the following interactions. Okay, cool. So basically we need to go in here and edit the settings in here under interactions and switch them on something to something else. So like any one of these is gonna work. I'm gonna test out while hovering, see how that works. So if I hover with my mouse, you can see that the interaction is happening. I don't have to click anything. And let's try another one. Please, if you're doing this for the first time, like go through all of them just to see what happens and how it works. I'm also gonna start play with the after delay one and set it to like a little bit of a longer period, so that when I click in here, it doesn't just auto start. I'll reset it because I'm unsure if it actually is based on time. Yeah, now it is. Okay, so sometimes with Figma, if your prototype seems like all of the changes didn't apply, you can always just kind of reset this and start prototype features again. So in here, we would have to do pretty much a similar thing, but instead of focusing on this part, we would focus on animation settings. So instant, dissolve, smart animate, move in, move out, push, slide in, slide out. So I'll just start slide in, see how that works. And basically it works like two screens and one of them is overlapping the first one and kind of entering the view. Again, a lot of these features are going to be useful for mobile prototyping, some of them also for web app prototyping, so it's something to keep in mind when it comes to tasking here. The only thing that we need to work on is, again, in here under interaction settings, but it's this drop down. It's connected to how things animate, and I'm going to create a custom Bezier. It's going to be something really wow like this. I'll just make it last a little bit longer, and we can try it out. So you can see how it bounces back in and out and kind of rotates. And you can also see that this part rotated a little bit more and then went back to this state. So all of that is kind of included because you know that this one has the rotation at 0, this one has it at 135%. So if you add a custom Bezier like that, you can also take it to like 150 and then go back to 135. So you don't have to like create that middle state in between. You can do it with a curve. Now for this part, adjusting prototype settings, I have an assignment in here that says switch to the prototype tab. You can do so by hitting the shortcut Shift E. Let's do that. Okay, so we have something created already. We need to change the device into an iOS frame. So device is going to be an iOS frame 375. Okay. And we need to, well, we don't need to, but we can switch the color to something like really noticeable. Let's do red. And we need to change the background of the prototype, and let's do something also like really wild, like this hot pink / red. You can see that this is a separate prototype because it's on a different page in our Figma file. And yeah, that looks fun. Okay, so we completed all of the like basic parts, and it's now time to move on to the mastery. I'm gonna end the video in here just because I expect a lot of you not having too many problems with the basics part, and now we're moving to a little bit harder part. So I want to kind of make it a separate video so it's easier to find your way in the course as you're going through this.